All right, we're going to jump right in and explore a really powerful idea from a source known as Il Maestro. And it's all about this deep and honestly often overlooked connection between our spirit, our body, and well, why we get sick.
So let's start with a question that I think we've all asked ourselves at some point. Why are we so afraid of getting sick? Why does just the thought of our bodies failing us fill us with so much dread? This isn't just a medical question, right? It's a deeply, deeply human one.
And that feeling of dread, it leads us directly to our first big idea here, the really powerful role that anxiety plays in our health. I mean, it's a feeling we all know, especially as we get a little older, but its effects, they might be way more significant than you'd think.
The source makes a pretty bold claim here. It says that our anxiety actually multiplies the effect of every minor ailment. Think about it. You get a small pain or feel a little tired, and you start to fixate on it, right? You pour all that worry into it. Well, according to this, you're not just feeling bad emotionally, you are literally making the physical problem worse.
And this quote, wow, it gets right to the root cause. Your function is, first of all, to exorcise death, because by exercising the fear of death, you also exercise illness. So what Il Maestro is saying is that our fear of getting sick, it's often just a mask for a much deeper fear, the fear of death itself. The thinking is, if you can actually face that fear, if you can reframe how you see mortality, then suddenly illness just doesn't have the same power over you.
Okay, so this builds into the absolute central idea of this whole framework. The idea that physical sickness, it doesn't just randomly happen to the body. Nope. The origins, it turns out, are much, much deeper. So check this out. This is a complete 180 from how we usually think about it. We see the body, we see the sickness, and we think, that's the problem. But in this view, the body is just where the symptom shows up. The real cause, the place where it all begins, is in the spirit. And this quote right here is really the heart of it all. People get sick first in the spirit and then in the body. It's suggesting a very specific order of events. The disharmony, the imbalance, it happens first on that non-physical, spiritual level, and only after that does it show up in our bodies as an actual illness.
Now, this isn't just some abstract philosophical idea. It has real, tangible implications. A strong spirit, for example, is said to actually boost your immune defenses. We're talking about protection against contagious diseases, even cancer. It also means that understanding the person is just as important as treating the disease. And get this, just an active trust in a healer can be enough to trigger our own self-healing.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. It sounds like we're talking about two totally separate things, the spirit and the body. But the next idea takes this much, much deeper, and it's absolutely critical to understanding the whole picture. The source is super clear about this. As long as we're alive, there is no separation. The human being is this inseparable union of spirit and body. The spirit lives in the body works for the spirit. It's all one thing. That means you can't just treat a physical problem and not expect it to affect the spirit. And you can't work on a spiritual issue without it having an impact on the body. It is all one system.
So if that's true, then what is illness? Well, it's not some random mechanical breakdown, like a car engine failing. It's way better understood as a state of disharmony, an internal conflict inside this single unified structure. It's basically a message, a big flashing sign, telling you that something in your whole system is out of balance.
All right, now we're going to take this a step further. I want you to try and look at this whole picture from a completely different angle, from the perspective of the spirit itself. This is where things get really interesting.
Okay, first concept, incarnation. From this viewpoint, being born isn't random at all. It's actually a deliberate choice the spirit makes to come here and have a certain experience on Earth, all for the sake of learning something.
Second concept, the body. Now, from the spirit's point of view, the body is described with this really powerful metaphor, a prison. Now, that sounds harsh, but it's a necessary prison. It's the only way to have the experience, but it's also conditioned by genetics and your environment, and it comes with some serious limitations. And of course, that leads us to the ultimate reframe of death. If being born is entering this prison, then dying isn't the end. It's the opposite. It's liberation. It's the moment the spirit is finally freed from the body's constraints and gets to go back to its natural state.
So the whole process, according to the source, kind of looks like this. Step 1. The spirit sets up a life program, sort of like a curriculum. Step 2. It chooses the right environment to be born into to make that program happen. Step 3. It enters the body and brain, which come with all their preset conditions. And step 4. It just lives the experience. The whole point being to learn and evolve.
And here's a really crucial distinction to make sense of that journey. We have to separate character from spirit. Your character, that's your learned behavior. It's your personality, your habits, basically how you act. But your spirit, that's your deep inner quality. It's your ethical core. It's who you are. And they are not the same thing.
Okay, so we've been way out there in the cosmic perspective. The big question is, how do we bring this all back down to Earth? How does any of this change the way we actually live, day to day?
Well, the source points to this one central conflict that's at the heart of pretty much the entire human experience. On one side, you've got your survival instinct, right? The body's biological drive to just survive at all costs. But on the other side, you've got your spirit's purpose, to have experiences, to learn, to evolve. And a lot of the time, those two things are pulling in opposite directions.
And the solution is summed up in this really beautiful metaphor. Whoever connects the two shores finds peace. So just imagine it. Your human, biological self is one shore. Your deeper spiritual self is the other shore. The way to find peace isn't about picking a side. It's about building a bridge between them. So that brings us to some pretty powerful takeaways for how to live a little better. First, try to view your life, even the really tough parts, as a valuable experience that your spirit actually chose. Second, see illness not as some terrible enemy, but as a message telling you something's out of balance. Third, you can reduce that deep anxiety by reframing how you think about death. And finally, the big one, seek to reconcile your human needs with who you are on a spiritual level.
And that really just leaves us with one final thought to chew on. We spend so much of our lives feeling torn, right? Pulled between our immediate physical fears and maybe some deeper spiritual goals. But what if it's not a battle at all? What if the whole point of this life is just to build that bridge, to connect those two shores? And what if finding peace is really just about that, building a bridge between these two shores?